Hey, welcome back here to the Central PA Pour. And Dave, sun's finally shining outside. It's been a while. We've had a good bit of rain.
Yeah, we have. And I can do without it for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So yeah. I don't mind. I don't mind the rain. You got to have the rain to make the grass grow, the shit grow anyway. Whatever's out there, my wife's flowers need.
Oh yeah, don't even get me started. So hey.
Yeah.
Hey, don't forget to look us up on your social media platforms at Central PA Pour. If you got a comment or something, you want to let us know a brewery or beer, hey, we got to try this, give us an email, centralpapour@gmail.com. Check out our merch site. Ben has that up and going right now. And we have another guest sitting in the studio, and I've been kind of trying to get him here for a while, and it's finally here, even though he showed up a week early.
I did, yeah.
But we're going to let him introduce himself. So welcome to the Central PA Pour. Tell us who you are.
I'm Jared Barnes. I'm the one of the owners and head brewers of Collusion Tap Works downtown York. Second location up in Lidditz, PA that we opened about 2 years ago. And, yeah.
All right. So, man, it's good to have you here. I know been kind of talking to you a little off and on last year. It took a while, but we're sitting here together in studio, and you've done this stuff before, so you should be an old hat at this.
I have. I've done a couple of these in a couple different locations, a couple different places.
I think the one I did see you were, what was the one they did just not long ago? You guys were, WJL was out there, and you were on it. Jason was on it. Was that the PA Flavor or something, whatever that was for?
Yeah, we've done the PA Flavor one. We did the Poured in PA video, which was really good. I've done stuff with Beer Busters podcast. I've done stuff, at other breweries I've worked at, but yeah, this is great to have one like here, based out of Central PA.
Central PA, man. That's kind of our whole gig. We're trying to focus on the Central Pennsylvania. Yeah. We say Central PA, but we really mean South Central PA. But hey, we'll take what we get. I mean, the craft industry's been good, and that's kind of what we're trying to focus on. So tell us a little bit about Collusion Tap Works. Where did that come from? Was this a desire that you really wanted to do? And, how did this dream ever get started?
So basically all started back when I was like 22, 23 years old. I was in school for structural engineering at Penn State Harrisburg, and I hated it. It was awful. Was working at a place called Bully's Restaurant and Pub out in Lancaster, out in actually Columbia, in Lancaster County. And, typical story, Dad got homebrew kit for Christmas, started homebrewing in the basement of the restaurant. They have a secondary kitchen down there, like a prep kitchen, that I started making all my stuff in down there, and really got to like it. And, Dad came to me one day and said, well, why don't you go and, go to school for this instead, since obviously you're not too happy, spending all of my money at Penn State. Why don't you go ahead and, go to beer school? So ended up going to Siebel Institute for their Master Brewers program, finishing out Doman's Academy over in Germany.
Wow. So you did go overseas?
I did.
That's awesome.
Yep. And then after that, it was, got back to PA and applied to Southern Tier and drove 4.5 hours up there for a 20-minute interview, and then drove 4.5 hours back.
Oh, that's a full day.
And ended up getting the job, which was great. So yeah, started up at Southern Tier as a cellarman up there, doing everything, everything on cold side.
Did you have to? Did they start you out cleaning out the mash tun?
No. I was. They split everything there, hot side and cold side. So anything, on the brewery side, any sort of, wort creation, anything, hot side is done by what they, consider brewers, and then everything done in the cellar on the cold side, which is, yeast pitching,
fermenting and all that.
Filtering, transferring, dry hopping, propagation, yeast management, repitching, that kind of stuff. That's all done by cellarmen. So that's where I started. Did that for about 9 months, and 8 or 9 months, and finally in November, the end of November, it went from 55 degrees to 3.5 feet of snow in less than 24 hours.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like my...
I'm out of here.
Lakewood, New York was awesome. That whole area is amazing up there.
In the summer, right?
In the summer, it's gorgeous. In the winter, it's brutal. So yeah, ended up moving down to Sarasota, Florida, helping a guy open up Darwin Brewing Company down there. Was down there for about a year and a half. Ended up getting into a little bit of a disagreement with him as far as where the direction of the brewery should go. Amazing chef, but just didn't really.
It didn't work out.
It didn't work out.
Yeah. So.
And ended up left there. Got a job offer at Cigar City. Turned it down. Got a job offer out in Colorado. Turned it down. And ended up
Come on now, back. Colorado in the winter is beautiful, right?
Got a job offer for the head brewer of Funky Buddha. Turned that down. And ended up coming back to Delaware just to get a little closer to home to work for Mespillian River. And was there at Mespillian River for almost 2 years. Left there, good terms, love all those guys down there. To come back even closer to home and took a job at Windridge.
So you were down at Windridge as well.
I was their first brewer at Windridge, yeah.
Okay. I did not know that. That's good.
I was there for, I believe, 5 months. Until I realized that I really did not like working for other people. The vision that Windridge has was the exact opposite of what I thought a brewery should start out with and eventually grow to possibly, but within 4 months we were in 13 states just throwing out whatever we could throw out, and it just wasn't the direction that I thought I wanted to go in life. And finally went out there and almost took another brewing job out in Pittsburgh and said, I'm sick of doing this for everybody else. I'm just going to do it for myself. So talked to my father, talked to my uncle, and, they decided to go ahead and be the money guys and back me for it. So yeah, that's where it all started.
And I think they made the right move.
Yeah.
Collusion in downtown York. Is it what is that area called there off of King
Royal
Street?
Square District.
Royal Square District.
Yeah. Lots of cool shops.
You guys got it going on. I mean, it's usually packed.
Yeah.
Every on the weekends. So
well, we're not. I mean, it's nice that we're one of the very few places in York that actually has a parking lot. We've got a parking lot. We've got a lot of adjacent parking lots that are not currently being utilized that the owners let us use free of charge. So, that situated in the alleyway and the whole, centralized area, Royal Square with all the cool shops that are around there really, really set us up nicely.
Yeah. You were I've been in your place a long time ago. And then Kevin and I did one of the walking tours with Glenn Smith.
Yeah.
And he took us into your brewery, showed us around. You got a huge canning line going. You got you got it all going on in that one spot.
Yeah. Yeah, we do.
So, I mean, it's a nice, fantastic place to go in and check out. Right. And you got a ton of beer on tap.
We do. Yeah. 23 beers. Actually, today it's 24 because I'm currently out of our cider, which I have to email the guys from Big Hill. So thank you for reminding me. If anybody likes cider, go check out Big Hill. Shout out to those guys. They're awesome. Out in Gardner. They got an awesome location out there, cool outdoor area.
We'd love to we're not just related to craft beer on this. Yeah. We could do them as well on the podcast. Give a shout out.
I definitely will. Those guys are awesome out there. We've had them on draft since basically the beginning.
So the second location, how did that come about? Was that like something you foresaw? Was like you were talking about your vision for what a brewery could be?
So about 4 years. I mean, we've been open for 6.5 years now. It'll be 7 here in September, which times flies. About 4 years ago, I was thinking about potentially opening up, a second location in Lancaster somewhere. And, my father and I, we went and looked at a couple places in Columbia. I really wanted to do something along the river. He lives out there. I'm always down there. I got a boat down at Long Level, down at Susquehanna Boat Works that, wife and I take out, and we're always down there as much as possible over the summertime and even in the wintertime. Love the water down there. Love being on the river. So, wanted to find something down there, and that was actually one of the first places we looked at for the original brewery. Was down along that area. Revisited that idea. couldn't really find too much of something that I really wanted. And in the midst of all that, and us talking about opening in Lancaster County somewhere, because I wanted to get stuff across the river. There's such a divide, I'm not going over there. I'm not going to this side of the river, that side of the river. Lancaster County people don't come to York, vice versa. For whatever reason, God forbid you drive a mile over, whatever. But anyways, was approached by a guy named Jim Hoffer, who I just randomly happened to be behind the bar one night bartending. And he sat down with somebody else and we just started chatting, and come to find out that he owns a building called the Shirt Factory. Used to be an old shirt factory there in Lidditz. 100-year-old building. Had bought that and was going through a renovation and was, looking at different breweries to go in and basically run and operate some portion of the 4 stories, between the basement and 3 floors, and, operate a brewery or brew pub. And, it kind of fit in with what we were looking at. Building is awesome. Location is great. Lidditz is cool little small town. And he basically said, we'll pay for all the building construction if you just want to pay us rent and move all your shit in there. And that's what we did.
Can't beat that. So, that's a deal that was made. That was made to happen.
Yeah, it's 6,200 square feet, split over 4 floors, full kitchen in the basement, dumbwaiter going up to the first floor, 50 seats on the first floor, another 75 give or take on the second and third floor. Big stage, big sound system, lighting system.
We're gonna have to go over and visit the Lidditz location too.
There's probably $100,000 worth of sound shit and light shit and stuff going on there in the second floor. I mean, it's pretty impressive.
That's awesome.
Yeah, good bands that come in, good local bands. He brings people from all over, but good local bands play there, and it's a pretty cool spot.
Oh, we're gonna. So, how far away is it from? Is it to Tom Sturgis Pretzel?
3 blocks.
3 blocks.
3 or 4 blocks. Yeah.
Yeah. Lidditz is pretty cool. It's a cool little town.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't realize all that. So that's awesome.
In fact, the 2 year for that was just last month. It was 2 years last April.
Yeah, normally you hear like a tap room. It's like a small walk-in place with very limited seating.
No, this is like 150-ish.
That's like a whole new
seats,
area.
Between the whole thing.
It's a decent size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's decent size. I wish we were on like a main street. That's the only downside is, like our York location, we're in an alleyway in the middle of, Lidditz. We don't have any street frontage, though. That's the biggest issue, and there's no parking Lidditz for anybody. But, word's getting out. We're starting to grow again. And
that's good. Yeah. So talking about beer, what's going to be our first one here, Jared?
So I did bring 8 tonight. I think we're going to do like 4 or 5. I don't really know how deep I want to get into it on a Monday evening when I got a whole bunch of stuff to do this week. So first one is probably one of my favorites. This is our Pilsner. This is our first right German Pilsner using all Sterling hops.
It's crystal clear. I mean, so one of our previous guests, Francisco from Mad Chef, talked about clarity in beer, and it's really clear. And that's what you're looking for in a Pilsner.
That's the idea.
Cheers. First right Pilsner. I've had this before. This is a really good Pilsner.
Yeah.
Light. It's light. It's an easy drinking beer. Great finish. It's really good. That's good
beer.
Right.
So I would call that a session beer. Summertime outside.
It's 5% German style, Pilsner, German lager.
And to me, any beer is a session beer. If I'm sitting down, it's a session beer.
There you go.
It's time for a beer. All right. So, Jared, Dave has a thing on. You're born and raised in York,
correct?
And you've traveled quite a bit.
I have, yeah.
And I mean, I think it's impressive that you actually went to Germany to get trained as a brewer too. We ran into one other person, Irina Wise. It was down at Winding Path that she told us that she went over there for that Master Brewers thing, and that it's just an impressive feat in its own. How did you find that experience?
Well, like I had mentioned, my dad actually found the school. He had given me a folder of basically a couple different brewing schools, one of which was UC Davis. The other one was Siebel. There was a third one in there mixed in that I don't remember. And the one in Chicago for Siebel Institute made the most sense. I saw they had their brewers program where you go and travel over to Germany and do your thing in Germany. And it's like, well, hell, I'm 24. I've got no responsibilities. I've got no bills. Living in my parents' house.
Do it now.
Might as well do it now.
Because you recently had a child.
I did. I've got she'll be 6 months old in a week.
First one?
First one.
Wow. So life has changed dramatically for you.
Quite a bit.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's not nearly as bad as everybody said it was going to be.
It's not.
Yet.
Yeah. Wait till they're teenagers.
Well, I'm fully expecting, when she hits 11, 12, 13 years old, for her to absolutely hate me for like a 10-year stretch.
Of course.
And then, so I figure I might as well, get in good now.
Yeah.
No, you know what? You will always be daddy's girl.
Yeah, I'm sure.
That I never had a daughter. I had all three boys. I very rarely hear from mine. Dave doesn't hear from some of his, except for the one that still lives at home.
Yeah, that's true. No, take that back. I don't hear from him a lot either, because half the time I don't know when he's there. The only way I could tell if he's there, if I look out in the driveway and if I could see his car.
Right.
Yeah. Other than that, he just, does
his own thing.
He just rolls in and rolls out. He has his own door, his own entrance to the house. And so, the other two, I don't hear from them at all, a lot.
You mentioned it earlier. In the blink of an eye, you talked about your business. Can't believe it's been 7 years. You're going to turn around and the next 10 years, I can't believe my daughter's 10.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
My wife and I's grandson is 10 this year, and it's like, holy shit, where did that time go? But enjoy it now, because
that's great. I mean, shit, since like 2 months old, 2.5 months old, I mean, she sleeps, goes to bed anywhere between like 9 and 10, 9 and 10:30, and she's asleep till 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning.
You got
doesn't cry, doesn't whine. Wow, she's getting a little pissy now. She's starting to teeth. So now it's like she's getting fussy. And she's really starting to get interested in everything. So, like, if she doesn't have something taking her attention, or like, she loves grabbing anything that we're holding in our hand, like drinking or eating or whatever. So, whenever my wife goes to sip a beer, she's just trying to grab it and gets really pissed off. Like, really pissed off if you don't, like, let her touch it.
Yeah.
But other than that, she doesn't fuss at all.
I did that with each of my kids.
What's that?
They did the same thing, and they would reach for it, and I was like, "Okay, try it."
Oh, the beer.
The face
let
is
just try the beer.
I mean, she hasn't gotten to taste anything as of yet, but like licking the outside of a can, she's just. But then she goes back again 10 seconds later to do the exact same thing. It's like you'd think you'd learn, but
wait till she gets old enough to start taking things apart. That's the part that gets you. Is whenever you,
as long as she puts it back together again.
that's a rarity.
That don't happen.
Yeah,
Dad, here, I can't put this back together.
I made this for you.
Yeah, that's exactly right. They made, she may take an interest in brewing beer, and that would be a bonus.
I hope not.
Oh, okay.
I hope not.
You don't want to go down that road, okay? Because This
is a rough business.
Yeah, it is. I tell you, not a lot of female brewers.
No,
you see out there, and I was extremely impressed with Irina.
And that's one of the reasons I did chase that story, because she was a female head brewer.
Yeah.
And
she came from Victory. I mean, she did a great job there.
Yeah.
If it wasn't, I mean, she was driving. I want to say an hour and 15 minutes, or hour 10, hour 15 minutes, something like that, each way every day.
Yeah. That's
plus she had a kid.
Yep, she just, when we originally had her scheduled, she was pregnant, ready to give birth, and things changed. So, and that was the reason why we chased it. That's the reason I went after Fatback, because that was a female-owned brewery. I think there's another one in Dillsburg, Devil's Eye. I think that's 2 females that own that. I believe. I'm not sure.
I was going to say, I don't know. Well, Maurer is husband and wife.
Yeah, it's husband and wife.
That's true.
He was one of our first
Brooks
guests.
And his wife, yeah.
Yep.
Speaking of, they're down at the CBC. You didn't go down?
This is my first time in 11 or 12 years that I have not gone to CBC.
Well, we feel very privileged that you chose us over the CBC.
I'm sure that happened.
That's so reassuring. No, it was. I actually leave for Florida next week, and between going away a week for that, being now the only person that works in the brewery full time, and the kid, I couldn't go down and work in Nashville for 4 days during CBC just to come back and do it all again the following week.
So is that like the biggest thing for craft brewers? Is that CBC conference?
Yeah, I mean, Craft Brewers Conference is without a doubt the largest attended brewing conference, period, across the world. America has a lot of breweries.
A lot. Pennsylvania, we've mentioned that. 2011, I think it was the total was like 80. Now there's over 500.
I knew it was over the 400 mark. I didn't know how much more over than that.
It was. Last I looked, it was close to 5, if not over 5. So that's just in Pennsylvania alone.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, CBC is kind of everybody's reprieve from the daily grind kind of deal. That's you go there, you learn a lot of stuff. The seminars are great. The trade show is what everybody really likes, going and walking around and getting to play with a whole bunch of cool shit and, all new equipment and stuff. There's no drinking, no partying at all, though. Nothing, none at all.
I think you're pulling my leg. I'm glad we're on a bar stool.
The after parties are quite
entertaining.
Yeah. Oh, man. And Nashville is definitely. Philadelphia was good CBC. Portland was really good. San Diego was good. Nashville was
the hot spot.
Yeah,
that's the one, and you're like, God damn, how can I do both?
Nashville was great. Denver was okay, but see, with Denver, the downside of Denver is Denver has Great American GABF every year. They do Great American Beer Festival every year out of Denver. So a majority of people go to Denver every year, all the time anyways. So it's nice to kind of go to a new place. It was really unfortunate because we were going to do one down in San Antonio over COVID, and that got shut down. And that would have been really nice, is to go check out all the places down there.
Now, is it just brewers that are only allowed to that, or is it just whatever?
So it's a lot. I mean, there's press, there's brewers, there's manufacturers, there's clothing makers, there's people ship equipment, from like Braucom brings their stuff over from Europe and will literally ship brewing equipment over and just showcase off 30-barrel brew houses. I mean, multi-million-dollar brew houses are just sitting there in this trade show. I mean, you've got everything and everybody beer related. There's a lot of distillery equipment that's popping up now.
Yes, all that.
Some of the programs are trending towards that, which is great. I actually did a distillery school out in Chicago at Siebel last year. Just expand my horizons a bit.
So that was going to get into a question. Is that, future ideas? Is this something you're going to dabble in and maybe bring to that collusion?
Possibly. I mean, distilling is a whole nother animal. I mean, the basic fundamentals are extremely similar, but there are a lot of differences between the two.
Ain't like mashing it out and putting it in a fermenter.
Well, yes and no. In that sense, in that rudimentary sense, yes. I mean, grain to glass is majority the same, minus the distillation process that you would, have the extra step for. But the way that you get there is a little different.
I can see you having one of them moonshine stills that you're up hidden in the hills somewhere.
I would love that.
The old radiator.
Send me to West Virginia or Tennessee and leave me be.
So where did the name Collusion? How did you come up with Collusion? And the symbol. What is all that representation?
So we had originally tried like 4 or 5 different names for the brewery. We wanted to, one of the original ideas was River Hills, which I thought was an awful name, but my dad really liked it, and I'm sure I'm going to hear shit from it when he watches this podcast. We wanted to do, another one was, we were talking about doing 3 boroughs, for Columbia, Marietta, Wrightsville. Because that's where we had initially talked about that, and we couldn't do that because of 5 boroughs brewing up in New York. We got turned down for like 5 or 6 different things, and finally one day it was like, all right, we've got everything else going. Like, we need to get a name. We have to get something here. So we ended up just trademarking B3 Brewing Company for the 3 Barneses, myself, my uncle, my dad. And once we did that is when we kind of designed the logo.
With the 3 faces.
With 3 faces for the 3 Bs. And if you look at the hands on the symbol, that's the letter B and the number, or number B. Yep. Yeah, letter B, number 3. I've only had 5 ounces of beer. I don't understand. Letter B and number 3 in the hands and sign language for B3.
That's interesting. That's cool. I wouldn't have paid attention to that, but that's...
Well, and a lot of people don't understand it because nobody knows the name B3 Brewing Company. Everybody assumes that it's Collusion, but, Collusion is just the DBA. And Collusion came around well before the whole debacle politically with the word. It was just, I walked into my dad's house in like middle of 2015, early 2015, whatever it was, as we were, in the first construction phases of it, and just saw the word written on a piece of paper. And I don't even know what it was referencing, but I was like, man, that'd be a really fucking good name for a brewery. Like, that's awesome. And yeah,
it's awesome.
That's
cool
where
name.
That's where we, and I said, what about Collusion? I was like, oh, well, I guess we could, this and that. And it took some convincing. And yeah, that's finally where we came up with.
So it's you, your dad, and your uncle. Do they have any input to the brewing process, or is that totally you?
From the financial standpoint and business aspect standpoint, my dad does. Yes, my uncle is very much retired and pulling his Airstream around the country currently.
Okay. Well, that's a good gig.
Yeah,
to have.
yeah, and then and a lot of the financials, a lot of the business stuff. My dad's also retired, sans anything that deals with Collusion. He's very heavily vested into Lidditz and working up with that. So
that's awesome.
But anything in the brewery, anything for the York location is pretty much all on me.
And like I said, the beers, like, you got a ton of beers. So where does all those ideas? And before we sat down here, you told me you had like 900 and some you've already brewed
as
at one time?
per Untapped, they say 903.
That's a lot of beer.
I knew it was a lot. Our average is actually going down per year. I believe when we were like 3.5 years into it, or like our 4-year mark, we were at like 650, give or take. Or
that's a lot of recipes to come out, man.
I mean, honestly, not all of them are unique. Well, I guess they are technically unique in that none of the beers are made exactly the same, but like, we'll take variants of one certain beer and alter the grain bill and hop profile ever so slightly. And because it tastes different, I mean, you could make, I'll give you an example, like our fuzzy scrumpet. I don't think until the past 2 years, our fuzzy scrumpet recipe was ever the exact same. I think it went for 4.5 years, we were changing that beer basically every single time that we made it. Now that one, we kept the same name because that was one of the best selling beers that we had. It was, branded that way. It's our can art, can artwork. It's all that. But up until about 2 years ago, 2 years ago, I mean, the recipe changed every single time. We just alter it slightly here and there. There's other ones like our Anamorphous where that's drastically different every single time. It's always some sort of IPA, some sort of double IPA in the 7 to 8.5 range, or even 9% range. But that changes drastically every single time. I'm going to actually can the 47th variant of that Amorphous 47 here on Wednesday. But a lot of the stuff is just, I mean, a majority of the beers, it's literally, what are we brewing today? Like, I'll walk there in the morning and be like, all right, well, I have this and this and this on draft, and we've got this in the tanks, and what do we need? Okay. And in 10 minutes, I got something going on, and we're mashing in, and
that's awesome.
Let's roll.
That's awesome. I got to plan shit, man.
Well, see, that's how my last brewer that was with us, Ben, who ended up taking a job down in Edmonds Oast, and he left really good friend, left on very good terms with us, and ended up getting a job down at Edmonds Oast and moved the whole way down. Left York that he was living in his whole life, moved down to South Carolina, down to Charleston.
That's a beautiful area.
Oh yeah, his entire family lives down there and has been there for years. So he was like, I want to change. I said, go for it, dude. Like,
yep.
Get out. I left and came back here 4 different times. Said, might as well go try something new. So he's down there, but he was very much the same. Like, he has to plan something out. He has to know what he's getting into. He likes to have a weekly schedule, where I'm at the exact opposite end of the spectrum, where it's like, all right, I know what I kind of have to do here Monday through Friday. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do, but
so it sounds almost like Colton brewing. Colton, you ever? Nope. I just put it together.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So speaking of beer, I think we have another one sitting here.
Yeah, this is actually
this was a special release, right?
This was another lager. The first one we do all the time. This one was a release with a band called Verminoth. They're a metal band here out of York. Awesome dudes. They played at our, I want to say, 2nd anniversary party, and they just did a big show out at the Fang Around event that we did with that Dark Parlor put on, which is an awesome like oddity shop. Right there in Royal Square. She does, Lauren Ray's girl's name. She does amazing stuff, and put together this whole, Fang Around event.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. I was going to keep. I mean, that as we're recording, that was just like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago. I mean, it's amazing. There were thousands of people there. I mean, it was great. Turnout was great. But these guys played that show as well as one of the other bands that we'll taste. Well, we might not get to that tonight, but we did another triple IPA with a band called Spellbook, called Deadly Charms IPA. That one I brought as well, but who knows if we'll get to that. But these guys, Verminoth, I mean, good metal band, awesome dudes. And, they came to me and said, well, we kind of want to do like, we want to do like a lager, but maybe like a maple syrup lager. And I'm like, or like a maple syrup pilsner. Like, let's do a pilsner with maple syrup. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. Like, I do not disrespect the pilsner like that. That's just, but that being said, we ended up coming up with basically like, a better version of PBR. So this was, it's corn, it's, it's 2-row, it's 6-row, it's corn, it's American adjunct lager, 5.5%, light, easy to drink, crushable beer.
All right. So what's it called again?
Woven Flesh.
Woven Flesh.
Yeah, from the band Verminoth.
And again, it's very clear. So cheers to Woven Flesh, and Romanoff is what the
Verminoth. With a V, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
This is like
that is a very crushable beer.
Like standing in a pit, shotgunning beers.
Yeah.
So
lager process, how long is this one lagering?
This one was 6 weeks, 5.5, 6 weeks. Depends on the lager, depends on what we're doing. I mean, that's the nice thing about doing like modern day lagers is there's a lot of cool things that you can do with lagers that, 200 years ago, you just couldn't.
Right.
150 years ago, you just couldn't, Not that those traditional ways were bad in any sense, but...
The technology's there. Let's make use of it, right?
I mean, hell, Budweiser ferments their lagers in like 11 to 12 days from start to finish.
That's pretty quick.
Yeah. I mean, you can do some pretty crazy stuff with them.
Of course, Budweiser tastes like shit. Doesn't matter how they lager it.
Yeah. I mean...
I'm just saying...
I'm gonna
grab this here. The can art.
Yeah. It was that's the simulacrum there. Yeah, that was lead singer of the band came, and that's actually their album.
So label. This is the can art, if you can see it. And who designs all the can art for this stuff?
The lead singer of the band.
So he came up with that.
The band came up with the artwork, came up with the name of it, came up with everything. And they basically came and said, hey, you want to do a beer? I'm like, well, yeah, let's do a beer. Awesome.
And then you did a couple other beers for the same event, right? You did one you just mentioned.
We did the Verminoth release is actually like a month and a half ago. The most recent one was with the guys from Spellbook. And they're basically a, 70s, 80s glam rock, almost Dungeons and Dragon-y kind of style of, rock music of, an amazing show, really good set, really awesome dudes. And we did this beer called Deadly Charms, and he came in and he's like, I want like the most ridiculous shit you can possibly put into an IPA. Like I want it strong. I want it overpowering. I want it like a deadly charm, It's like, all right. So it's like 3.5 pounds per barrel. Dry hopped like 3.5 pounds per barrel, and like, it uses Lupamax stuff. It uses Spectrum oil. It uses Incognito stuff in the Whirlpool. I mean, it's like cryo hopped to death.
So that's going to be one Dave loves. Dave loves IPAs.
Oh, well, great. Perfect.
Sure.
Yeah. So we just, released that one and did that one there for the Fang Around event for that show. And yeah, we're in talks to possibly do some more.
That's awesome. And and these are beers they helped create, or you come up with the recipe? And
they came up with the idea of what they wanted, and I basically said, all right, I'm going to do this. And they're like, sure, go for it.
Who else was just doing that? Oh, Lydia and Stone did that with the fire police, the firemen, and the police department
the first
up there.
Responders.
They wanted a beer kind of the same. And I think that's awesome that you're helping local stuff. I think it's great.
Yeah, it's. I mean, honestly, from my perspective, it's super convenient for me because now I don't have to think of like names and artwork and shit. They just kind of be like, here, put this on a can. I'm like, cool. All I gotta do is make it, and I'm done. And now I can send it out.
And funny story is, as we're recording this, Jared came a week early.
I did, yeah.
When we were recording with Mike from Starview, and he walked in. I said, "Hey, Mike, how you doing?" And we brought him down here to the recording studio. And we were just sitting here talking. I said, "You've been at this for a while." And I'm looking at this can, or I'm like, "Dude, this looks like Collusion." He looked at me, and says, "It is Collusion." I look, holy shit, Jared, you're a week early.
Yeah, I just, I was super excited to get here, so I just wanted to, see you guys twice.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. And we do appreciate that you scheduled the CBC away from our recordings.
I knew that I had to get this in.
So otherwise, Brett would be hounding you again. You're like, dude, I got to get this guy off my ass from the phone.
Didn't go party down in Nashville for 5 days. I mean, work in Nashville.
I think the can art, everything's unique. And it's, the names. Where we get to the second beer here, which is what I'm holding. I don't know where you come up with those names. Some of them I have a hard time pronouncing, but it works.
I mean, a couple different ways. Some of them are based off of video games.
Okay.
Some of them are based off of songs, albums, bands. Some of them are basically... for instance, we have a beer. I didn't bring it tonight. I actually brought one. Well, the beer King Cuddly, which is like a super amped up version of our Soft and Cuddly beer.
And I like the Soft and Cuddly series. I do.
And that was the first guy that was doing all of our artwork, like for the first, right, the Simulacrum, any of the other stuff. Majority of that stuff was done by a guy named Oliver. And he's now down at a tattoo shop. I mean, he was 19 years old, couldn't even drink when he started doing our stuff. Did the Screamer labels, actually, the bottles that you saw there. And he did all this stuff, all this artwork, was basically like, pay me like I do like prints for like $30 or $40, pay me like $30 or $40 label. I'm like, no, dude, like I'll pay you a little more than that. I mean, this is really good. And yeah, he draws all this stuff, and you basically give him a name and give him a style and kind of what your concept is of it. And within a week, he's like, yeah, this is what I got. And literally every single one, I wish I still had, and I'm sure I can find them somewhere, the original Homunculus artwork. Not that this one isn't great. That's actually the fourth beer that we're drinking. But one of the original Homunculus artworks was with a Plague Doctor, which is that's like my favorite shit. I have like Plague Doctor stuff all over my house. And his stuff was just really unique.
That's pretty cool. And again, he's a local artist.
He's down in Maryland now. He was local.
So, I mean, it's awesome that you're doing a collusion sort of with local people.
Yeah.
So I think that's cool. And, I've been coming to you guys. We don't get out a lot. But when I do come in downtown, there's a couple weeks I got to go to Collusion, Gift Tours, Liquid Hero. And once in a while we venture over to Mud Hook.
Mm-hmm.
We used to stop at Old Forge till they left.
Mm-hmm.
I think I used to go to Crystal Ball once or twice before they packed up there.
Well, Jesse's got his fingers in Genova's now.
I know we've been trying to get them guys on, and I had them committed, but they had to back out.
Yeah.
So we're still working on them. Okay. We're still going to get them in.
I'll say something to him next time I see him.
Yeah. I'll get you and Jason to get on them, and maybe we'll get them in here.
Maybe.
So You got something to say?
No.
Oh, you're looking at me like, hey, I need to talk here.
No. I'll interrupt you.
Yeah, I mean the names are a lot of times the names are just random. I mean it's like the Soft and Cuddly series. My dad was looking at one of Oliver's, and that's how I started on this. One of Oliver's original artworks for Fuzzy Scrumpet, and it was like a really gnarly looking creature because we didn't know what the fucking Fuzzy Scrumpet was. Like
I was going to ask where that comes from.
No, it came from. The name itself came from me and my buddy Scott, who used to work out at Wimbridge. He was a cider maker out there. Like a scrumpy. It was like a cider. And I was like, oh, it's like like you should do it with like the peels of all of the fruit and like do like peaches and do like a fuzzy scrumpy. And then it was like a fuzzy scrumpet. And I was like, what the fuck is a fuzzy scrumpet? I don't know. And that's where that name came from.
Well, that's like the two beers that we brewed. The first was an Irish red. And I wanted to names that one. I already had that name preconceived. Mm-hmm. I wanted to go something with Erin Go Bra because that's Forever Ireland. Right. So I went Erin Go Bra list, and I'm still trying to find a red-headed Irish woman that wants to go braless for a picture for the can art. I don't think my wife's going to let me do that.
I would bet not.
But she doesn't have to be naked. She could just be braless.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
But the idea would be to shirt off, too.
To be fair, if I asked another woman to take her bra off so I could take a picture of her, my wife wouldn't exactly be, so enthusiastic either.
No. And the English IPA, which I gave you a sample last week, I kept going around about a name for that, and I kept going back to Cobblestone Road. And that's what I called it. My wife and I were sitting there one night because she said, I'd like to have the job of coming up with beer names. I'm like, all right, we got a couple beers that you need to name. I'm like, so we were sitting there one night. What about this? And I'm looking Untapped or whatever. Nope, there's like 20 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the problem.
It is. I mean, it got to be. I mean, it's just so oversaturated anymore. You just have to just say.
I don't think anybody's going to be dominating. Duplicating the names that you guys name your beers.
No, well, I mean, there are some of them that we put out that I know are already other beer names, but like nobody in the industry really gives a shit. Like if you're a brew pub brewing in the middle of Texas, I don't care if you have the same beer name as me in York. My beer is never going to see Texas. Your beer is never going to see Pennsylvania. Like nobody cares.
Who was that? That was Jason. Cease and resist?
Yes.
Or desist or whatever. What is it? Cease and resist?
Cease and desist.
Desist.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I mean, and there are, I can understand, like the whole Stone thing with Keystone and Stone. I can understand that. I mean, that was a huge fight.
But
that is worth fighting for when you're talking about brands that are that known on that level of marketing. You're really millions of dollars.
You really need to concentrate what's in the can,
yeah,
and what it tastes like. That's the product.
Yeah,
of it.
I mean, the only time that I ever had to call anybody was when a brewery in Philadelphia named a beer Collusion.
Oh,
so they're taking your beer name, your
and
brewery name.
They're like an hour and a half from us.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. Called him up and just said, hey, by the way, in case you don't mind,
cease and desist.
Can we not call it that?
Were they?
Oh yeah. The lady called me back. I guess it was another husband and wife. They called me back and they're like, oh my God, I am so sorry. Like, we will never do it again. In fact, we'll send you some and here you go. And I was like, cool. And, you guys ever want to brew a beer together? Let's brew a beer together. And that was the end of the conversation.
Do you do a lot of collabs?
We used to do a lot. We still kind of do. I mean, it depends on who you're doing it with. Collaborations anymore, honestly, a majority of the time, it's just an excuse to sit around and drink with your friends.
That's why we brew.
But unfortunately, it is work at the same time. So typically when we do collaborations, it's like, oh yeah, we're collaborating with the owners of the brewery, and then the brewer is like brewing their beer while we're all drinking and hanging out. And then there's like disgruntled employees that are pissed off that they can't hang out and drink and this and that. But we do stuff with Prototype Brewing. That's three guys out of Gettysburg, out of Harrisburg, and I guess two of them are in Harrisburg now. We do stuff with them. We've done collaborations with Wolf Brewing. We've done ones with, the York City Six, where he got all six of our breweries together and did that. Collaborations with the bands. We did stuff with South County when we first opened. We've done stuff with Mexitali. A lot of our stuff with Imprint. Yeah, I mean, we do.
Is Mexitali still looking for a brewer now?
They have somebody.
Did they finally get somebody then? Okay, that's good.
Yep, they got somebody, and Rick is on his way to Black Cat.
Okay, yeah, I when I'd had his name Greg, the owner.
Yeah, Greg Bentley.
He had said yes, and then he emailed back said no, I can't do it because I guess that was when he got the news that his brewer was going to be leaving. So,
right.
But we'll look to get them on. But speaking of beer, I think we got another one sitting here. And
yeah, before you go on it, I just have a real quick question because I know we're going to get into other beers. But one question: everybody has, like all the jobs that I had. There's things that you just love about the industry, and then there's things that you just hate. I was just wondering if you could just,
ironically, the answer for both of those questions is the exact same thing.
Oh my God.
The customers.
Oh yeah.
I love the customers.
Yep.
I also hate the customers.
Yes.
There is this trend that has been forming in the, and I haven't been doing it for the longest, I've been doing it for 13 years now. So not the longest, but also not the shortest, kind of mid-range anymore. And there has been this trend where thankfully it's starting to die down, but the line life culture and the untapped, so intense bullshit. Like if it's not 9% so overly saturated with hops and sugar and flavorings and pastry and sour and fruit, it's like automatically a bad beer. Those people are fucking idiots. And I'm sorry if you're one of them that are listening to the show, but
no, you're not the first person to mention it.
The reality, and that's not to say I don't drink stuff like that. It's not to say I don't like stuff like that, but judging a beer based off of how many adjuncts it has in it, and not off of the quality of the final product, lack of defects, the clarity, the head retention, the things that make beer really special.
Yeah.
Anybody can throw 15 flavors into something and, oh my God, it's like, it tastes exactly like maple syrup, pancake, blueberry. And I brought one of those beers, by the way. I do have a blueberry, maple syrup, pancakes, imperial stout that I brought, which I think is delicious.
Now, is there walnuts on? No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, there's but to build your entire persona around that and have that be like all you brag about is, oh my God, I stood in line for 6 hours to get like these 7 sour beers is like,
you mean like going up to Trogs to get their special can releases and they're sold out in the first hour if you don't get there?
Kind of the same. It's, but at the same time, the nice thing about it is there's so many breweries that are doing stuff like that's kind of gone away. But I digress. A big part of the customers is getting those people into the brewery that are like truly fans of everything that that craft beer has to offer. Being able to have a conversation where he's like, dude, I got engaged here because I met my now wife here because we had such a good experience, And
that's part of the customers that you love.
And that's the customers I love hearing stories. Like I love talking to people about, that's the nice thing about Collusion. I mean, we have a lot of regulars that come in all the time, know people by their first name. I mean, that's great. Having that is awesome. Seeing a customer come in and try your beer for the first time, like, holy shit, this is really good. That's awesome. Being able to have a conversation with some of the homebrewers that come in, and just take 5 or 10 minutes and they say, hey, I was doing this. Can you give me any pointers? Sure. Here you go. Do this, and this. If you like it, cool. If you don't like it, come back, let me know, and we'll try something different.
Can you give me any pointers?
You'd have to be a little more specific, but I'm sure I can. Customers like that are the best part of the business. The ones that walk in on a Saturday when you're having a stout festival and yelling and screaming that they came here and they can't get your next heavily fruited sour pastry stout thing is just disappointing. Or,
yeah.
Oh my God, you guys only have 9 IPAs on draft. I can't believe it. Like, dude, shut. Like I've got, and that's, that's kind of what the whole concept for Collusion was, is I want to make something that everybody is happy with.
You got something that gives everybody's palate.
I've got Belgians on, I've got sours on, I've got wild firms on, I've, mixed culture stuff. We've got imperial stouts, we've got light lagers, we've got dark lagers, we've got IPAs, we've got a whole bunch of stuff.
You got something for everybody.
We got something for everybody.
And that's what's cool. I think that's what's really cool about brew pubs. Most of them have a variety to hit every palate.
Yeah. So getting customers that are in that, really enjoy the experience, are fine with the fact that it might take a little while to get your beer, are fine with the fact that, we're pub style service. Like, we're not going to wait on you hand and foot. I'm not a fine dining restaurant. I don't have white tablecloths and servers walk around. Hi, my name is so and so. I'm not care of you today. Like, no, that's not what this is. That's not what this is. We are a brew pub where, Don't walk up and be like, oh, can I get a taste of 19 of these beers? Oh, I don't really drink beer. I'll take a seltzer. Like, I just want to punch you in the mouth. Don't be that person. Be the customer's like, oh man, like these are really like, can you tell me about these beers? What do you know about them? What'd you do differently in this Anamorphic compared to the last one? Hey, I'm trying to do this with my homebrew stuff. Cool. Awesome. Yeah. Like, let's have a good conversation. Don't just be...
Yeah, you're not the first person. You're not going to be the last to talk about the Untapped rating stuff. So,
yeah,
Untapped is a great way to judge what your clientele is, because, well, to a certain extent, we've done so many different beers that you can tell when I make a certain style of beer and see those ratings jump through the roof. It might not be exactly what I expected to happen. The Czech dark lager that we did, the Mave Pivo is like a 4.04 on Untapped.
I love that style.
It's a great beer. It's amazing. I cannot believe that it was above a 3.75. I mean, this first rate I love, and I think it's a 3.72 or 3.74, whatever it is, because, oh my God, it's a light lager. Like, no, it's not good. No thanks.
Yeah, I mean, we've often talked about our Untapped ratings. Basically, we use it for our own personal things. Now, until we started doing the podcast and getting to know you guys, you guys actually read a lot of those ratings.
Mm-hmm. Well, I honestly, in the past couple of years, I really don't anymore, because I just got the shits of it. I mean, it's like, oh my God, I ordered these 4 sours and I hate sours. All of them are 1 out of 5. Like, why would you get them?
Why even rate them?
You know that you don't.
Don't even check it in.
Rate them.
Don't even check it in.
So you have it for your registry of, oh, here's my 30-second badge of this and that, whatever, cool, fine, but don't just toss a 1 star on it because you don't know how to rate a beer by the quality or presentation.
My scale is like 3.5 is my lowest. And if I rate something below that mark,
it's pretty bad.
No, I'm gonna say why I didn't like it. Gotcha. But it's not saying that it's a bad beer. Right. It's just, for me personally, this was below my lowest standard, but this is why.
Right.
But I'm not saying it's a bad beer, because everybody's palate is completely different. Taste buds are completely different, and they love a different style. And I'm to the point now, when we started this venture, and we've mentioned it numerous times, Dave, Kevin, and I, we were all the dark, heavy stuff. I mean, give us the barrel age, give us the stouts, the porters, the dark lagers and stuff. But my palate is opened up to everything now. And I'll drink IPAs, I drink sours, I drink the barrel age, I drink the barley wines. Some of my least styles, I'm not much for the farmhouse saisons or beer de gardes, but I will try it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say, okay, well, I taste this and this, but it's not one of my favorites. I'm going to drink it. It's good beer, but I mean, not your deal. It's not my deal.
Right.
And I'm going to explain that. Most people don't do that. They just, like you just said, I don't like sours. Bam, 1. And we've heard that before.
Yeah.
It's kind of like me. I'm in the auto repair. I've had reviews and they weren't even a fucking customer.
Well, that's,
Didn't even come in and have a service, but they gave me a bad review.
Google reviews like, food was cold, beer was flat, There were 2 separate reviews from 2 people. I went back and like looked at their other reviews for other places, and they did that to literally every brewery in New York. And I'm like, what?
Trolls.
Why? I'm like, I know the food wasn't cold. I know the beer wasn't flat.
Yeah. Well, speaking of beer, we have another one sitting here in front of us, and then we have a couple more that we want to get into. So what? I'm not even going to try this, Jared, to pronounce it because I know I'm going to fuck it up.
It's called Simulacrum. This is a 7% IPA with Mosaic and Vic Secret. This was like 100%. Well, base malt. It was. I think it's 85% Pilsner and 15% oats, if I remember off the top of my head. 15% flaked oats, and then Mosaic, all Mosaic and Whirlpool, Mosaic, Vic Secret, and dry hop.
So cheers to Simulacrum.
That's it.
Did I say it right?
You got it.
Oh, I thought I was messing that one up.
Different.
It is, and it's, you know what? You could definitely get a lot of that Mosaic. Now, what's the Vic Secret bring?
So Vic Secret, at least in this beer, I get a lot of like lemon rind kind of deal.
Okay, so I do get that little bit of the tartness of a.
But you almost get like a funky papaya thing going on mixed with the lemon rind. You still get that grassy dank Mosaic in there.
It's good. It's not overbearing, and I've had this before.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually brought some 4-packs home, and some of the other ones that you have that are these staples? That these are like
Simulacrum isn't a year-round beer, but we do it at least once or twice a year.
Okay.
The homunculus, the First Right, the Fuzzy Scrumpet, the Xerion Matrix. Those 4 are year-round beers, with the Anamorphous being a year-round beer, but always changing. Chimerical Dreams, year-round beer, but always changing. And then we have different versions of Simulacrum, Blowing Clouds, DDH versions of all of the above, which is actually what I wanted to bring you tonight was the DDH Blowing Clouds that we have right now. Tastes really good, but forgot that one.
I mean, for an IPA, this is very good.
Mm-hmm.
And you're getting that little bit of that dank, grassy, and then it finishes off with that citrus in the back end.
Mm-hmm.
2 years ago or 2.5 years ago when we started this venture drinking beer, I never would have fucking touched an IPA. Never would have put it in front of me.
Well, now you have to.
Oh,
so everybody makes.
Hey, you know what? My palate has opened up. I mean, to the point that I will drink everything and anything. And like I said, I'm either not going to like it but I'm going to appreciate what it is.
I would say probably half the beers on our list out of the apparently 903 that we have on there, probably 450 to 500 IPAs.
Yeah. And that's, when you mention to somebody that's not into craft beer, I don't like IPAs. I'm never going to try it. It ain't all IPAs. There's all kind of stuff out there. And some of this stuff is, we've mentioned this before, and Dave just drank. He had a Yingling before we sat down here. That used to be my cheap go-to. Boston Sam Adams was, Boston Lager was one of my other go-tos. I don't even mind them anymore.
I can't. I drank too much Yingling back in the day. I can't do it.
It tastes like a light beer to me now.
I can't do it.
I have my appreciation. Yes, call me a beer snob, but I am. It's funny. Every time I go out, my wife's like, oh, my God, here we go. The guy that don't like apps on his phone, I got to pull my phone out, take a picture, check it in.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a beer snob. But when I go to a place, I'm going to order a flight so I can sample a different variety of beers. So
you're a beer snob. Own it.
I do own it. And I got the fucking badges to prove it.
He's got the badges.
Oh, it's funny. I mean,
I don't have any badges.
You don't need no stinking badges.
I have an untapped account to look at other people's stuff. I think I've checked in 7 beers maybe ever.
I haven't checked in a whole lot.
I was at over 5,000 beers before Untapped was even a thing. Yeah. So I can't even tell you at this point.
It's just a fun thing for me. It's just it's a personal reference for me.
And that's the whole thing. You have to enjoy what you're doing, and you have to have fun at it. I mean, because if you don't, then it's going to seem like work.
That's true.
Yeah. And that's one of the things with this podcast is that we do this to have fun.
It is fun.
Yeah.
And otherwise,
what the hell's the point in doing it?
Yeah, that's right.
It'd be nice to make money, but it's fun. We're having a great time because we're meeting guests like Jared.
I say that about making beer too. It'd be nice to make money.
Yeah.
I say that every day about my automotive business. Hey, it'd be nice to make some money today.
Yeah.
But hey, what's your favorite? I kind of think we know this answer already, but what's your favorite style of beer?
Your cheat sheet said Pilsner.
I know, it says Pilsner. And that,
I think you like the overly adjunct sours.
Sometimes.
Okay. So I can't put
I did go off on a tangent there on the ridiculously fruited sours, but I tell you what, I will say, like, every once in a while I'll go and I'll find a place that has like a really good one. I'll get like 5 ounces. I'll be like, fuck, that is really good. But it's like I can drink like 5 ounces of it, and that's why I get so frustrated with it. Because like, oh man, I bought like 3 cases. It's like, how do you drink diabetes in a glass? Like, I don't get that. But it's like when you eat dessert, like a little sliver of cake. Cool, I can't eat the whole fucking thing.
Oh no, I can.
Well, yeah. And I think I don't like sweet stuff. I don't really like dessert. Yeah. I don't do desserts. I don't do cakes. I don't do, I had half a piece of cheesecake last night, and that was like, I was actually at Glenn Smith's house.
Oh, were you?
Yeah. And had half a piece of cheesecake, and that was like my entire dessert for the rest of the week.
Oh, my.
Other than this blue cherry cheesecake we're about to drink.
Yeah.
I kind of love my wife because, anytime we go out or she goes and all of a sudden she's not a sweet tooth person either. She doesn't like sweets. It is changing, but she's not, I'm overly sweet, and everybody's like, she'll make something and it's like, oh, it looks like, I'm like, honey, I'm going to eat it. I don't care if it tastes, to me, everything tastes like shit.
So you're still going to eat it.
But that's my way of saying to other people, it tastes like shit. You don't want this.
Right.
This is all for me.
Yeah. Don't touch this. This tastes awful. I'll just eat it so you don't have to.
Yeah, I'm gonna eat your suffering for you. Right, so don't worry about that.
No, I mean, if I would have like literally, Desert Island, obviously the perfect choice would be Pilsner or any sort of lagers. But there's really no style that I don't like. There's some that I'm not fond of. There's some that I like more than others.
I'm not fond of Hefeweizens.
See, I like one of my favorite beers is a Weizenbach. Aventinus from Schneider over in Germany. I actually got to meet the brewmaster there. And I don't mean brewmaster like I, work at a 3-barrel brew pub and make 100 barrels a year, and I'm calling myself a brewmaster because I'm an obnoxious snob. Not that I know people like that, but I mean like the guy that literally runs like one of the largest breweries in Germany from top to bottom, and he was one of the nicest dudes ever. And he's sitting next to me and we're eating this giant charcuterie board of just, German meats and shit. And it was like, hey, we have this like Eisbach and variants and barrel aged variants of these Aventinus. I'm like, are you fucking kidding? Like, go get those, bring those. And yeah, like all 30 of us that were over there, he just brought out a whole bunch of cool shit. I mean, it was like one of the most surreal experiences ever, that I'm sitting next to this guy that I like idolized. From this, world famous brewery, and
that's awesome. I mean, right there is a dream come true.
Weizenbachs are my shit. Everything from Schneider is amazing.
So Eisbach, that's a style that's not brewed a lot over here.
Technically, it's illegal.
Is it?
Yeah, because you're actually the traditional way of doing real Eisbachs is freeze distillation, which you're not allowed to do here in the United States.
Okay, that would explain why.
That's good.
You can get around it, but yeah,
that would explain why that's not a style here. But speaking of that, when you were over there, so you just said about a little story that overwhelmed you. Mm-hmm. When I was in the military and I went to Holland, I was in Den Haag, and I got to stay on the Dutch naval post. Mm-hmm. And off the post was this little pub, probably no bigger than my basement here. And it was small. My buddy and I are sitting there at the bar talking to the bar owner. And he's like, well, how do you guys serve your beer in America? I said, well, by the keg, it's about 110, 12 ounce pours out of that maybe. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's about 100 to 110 pours?
160 12-ounce pours, 120 pints.
All right, so, I was, this is like...
Well, 110, 120 pints, yeah.
This was about 30 years ago, but I didn't really know, but he's like, that's nothing. He said, he took me downstairs, and he had 2 300-liter steel tanks, all computerized. One was Amstel, the other was Amstel Light.
And that's what they served.
He said, I fill them up once a week. I'm like, wow, holy shit.
Well, that's over there. When you go to you don't have 24 options like you have at Collusion. A lot of the Czech pubs and Czech bars, like you have a light and you have a dark, and that's what you drink. And that's what it is.
What's that place in New York that Christian said about that he got the mugs from?
The Dimple mugs.
Yeah.
They I can't remember the name of the brewery. I know exactly what you're talking about. They just opened up, and that's
light or dark.
Yeah, and they got Luker to come in and design their entire draft system, which is like, Luker is like now it's the current trend for like side pull taps and everything, here in the United States. But they are like the forefront of the most creative, like innovative, most ballerist way to pour a beer kind of deal, and traditional way to pour a beer, and I can't remember the name of the brewery or the brewery or the bar, but that's all they do is they've got light or dark.
Yep. And I mean when I was in Germany, in Germersheim, now this is again this is 35, 40 years ago, and I went to the bar and I ordered a Christeweizen, which was, what they tell me, it was like 40% by volume, and I had a couple Bellheimers. I drank that, and I went to the bank to exchange more for Deutschmarks, and I'm standing at the bank going, holy shit, that kicked my ass. It was good, though.
Yeah.
There's nothing like drinking European beer. I like craft beer. I don't care where it's from, America, Europe.
As long as it's good.
As long as it's good.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a couple beers that turned to shit out of my kit beers. Just drink them. Just ain't what they were supposed to be.
Right. Shit happens.
It's a drinkable beer. That's all it is.
It's a drinkable raspberry drink.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a raspberry Kolsch. It's more of a raspberry beer. That's all it is.
That's understandable. Raspberry is hard.
Yeah, well, I follow the directions. 4 ounces per 5 gallons. Well, that ain't the way it's supposed to be.
This was a lot of raspberry.
So, as far as you already talked a little bit about your future, any more tap rooms or expansion or are you going to keep the 2? Or that's just maybe we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. We were working on a project to expand in York into the building next door to us. And that's been put on hold due to the absolutely ridiculous cost of bank loans right now.
Oh, yeah.
They were coming back with interest rates at like 11 to 12%. I'm like, you're out of your fucking mind.
Thank you. No, thank you.
No, thanks.
Now, you guys do food both at both locations?
Food at both locations.
Different chefs or same chef with the same plan, or is it
very similar menu, different chefs, very similar menu. 75% of our stuff is the same from one location to the other.
I think it's great. I'm gonna have to go over there and check that tap room out, man.
Yeah, swing on by.
Oh yeah, we'll have to let you know when we're going by, so maybe you'll be there.
Probably not. I don't drive that far. It's like 45 minutes.
Your dad will be there.
My dad he'll be there.
So your brewing system, we mentioned a little bit. How big is your barrel system? I mean,
we have a 7-barrel Prospero system, which is actually made by SK Group out of Slovenia, with 6 7-barrel fermenters, 2 15-barrel fermenters, a 4-barrel, 2 7-barrel, and 1 15-barrel bright tanks.
Okay.
And then I've got, or did have at one point, a 1-barrel pilot system in addition to that with 6 1-barrel fermenters and a 1-barrel bright tank. So that's how we cranked out all the different beers. Was at any given point, we had 12 beers going at a time, which basically led us to be able to do like 20 to 24 beers a month. That's
a lot of equipment crammed into that building.
Yeah.
But you make it work. And it's not, when you walk into that place, it's not like you're got to walk through like that. It's very movable.
Yeah. I mean, I've worked in enough breweries and, helped open up enough places that I kind of designed it exactly how I knew that it was going to need to be laid out in order to do what we wanted to do.
And you have a canning line in there.
And we do have a canning line in there.
So as far as you're doing canning. Is this the only place you can get your beer? Do you distribute any to the distributors or anything?
Funny story. When we first opened, we were doing all self-distribution. We had 60 or 65 different accounts between, in central PA, between Gettysburg, Adams County, York County, Dauphin, Cumberland, Lancaster. When we opened up the Lidditz location, we pulled out of all of the self-distribution just because we were going to be, repurposing a lot of the beer that we were using for distribution to the Lidditz location, 2 tap rooms, twice as much beer being sold by the keg. So we stopped all distribution except for 1 or 2 select accounts. A month and a half ago, we signed with Nebulous Distributors, and Nebulous did quite a bit of high-end craft stuff, and was probably one of the best exclusive craft distributors in Pennsylvania, at least by my standards. They really focused on quality brands as opposed to quantity and big numbers.
Right.
However, they just were bought out 2 weeks ago by Wrigley. So the past 4 months of us going back and forth the distribution contract and finalizing everything for that led us to basically doing two different beer drops of 2 different brands each time. And now we're kind of in limbo waiting to see what happens with everything else. So to anybody watching that owns a beer distributor and or restaurant that has our stuff in it, sorry for what's going to happen over the next couple months, but we will be back.
Well, that just gives them more reason they have to come to either York
or Lidditz.
To visit the tap rooms and get it firsthand.
Yep.
And maybe sit and have a conversation with Jared about the beer.
Hopefully. Yeah.
So I have a question for you real quick. What is the Colluders?
So we have a group, all the breweries have mug clubs, or, membership kind of deal. And we have the Colluders Club. So it was originally, just that. It was a mug club. The very first year we did a membership, and I believe it was $200, and that got you, might have been 150, either 150. No, it might have been, I guess it was $200. And that got you 4 exclusive beers in bottles, 4 exclusive barrel-aged beers that were only made one time and that will only ever be made that one time. We only made 200 of them. They were given out to all of the members as part of the membership. And then in addition to that, you got a free 5-ounce pour every day that you came in. You got exclusive rights to fill up certain crowlers that other people couldn't fill up. You got a big party at the end of the year where we opened a whole bunch of super special one-off stuff that we had saved, or some beers from some barrels or blends of stuff that would never be released to the public. And that has now warped into, I believe this was the 4th year, maybe even 5th year that we offered it. Now we only offer 100 memberships.
So it is an exclusive club.
Yeah. We sold out in January.
Wow.
A lot of people signed up from previous years. The previous Colluders Club members get the chance to sign up in December for the following year. And then we open it up to however many. I think there was only 35 memberships that were available in January. And those are all gone.
Wow.
This year, I think it was, I don't remember what the membership fee, I want to say it was $100 this year. And it's been different prices every year depending upon what we offer. We're not trying to gouge people. I'm not trying to, make money off of this. We lose money in the Colluders Club pretty much every year. I mean, if you come in one time a week for the entire week and get a free 5-ounce pour,
you've lost money.
We've lost money.
It's not about that.
No. It's just about the exclusivity. I mean, everybody gets a really cool membership card with your name on it and the year on it. Come to the parties, You
get the exclusive barrel release stuff.
Right. This year it was a bourbon and rum barrel blended imperial stout with cocoa nibs,
where the
cinnamon,
fuck's my membership
coffee,
at?
And something else. And it was amazing.
Sounds like it.
Amazing. The downside is if you don't like barrel aged stouts, sorry.
No. I still have some of your screamers here. This is the coconut joy.
I would drink those.
And this is the cookies and cream. So I
would definitely drink any of the like the screamer stuff, the non barrel aged stuff, the heavily adjuncted stuff with coconuts or coffee.
They don't age well.
They do not.
Oh, okay. I already drank the other bottle of it.
As you said, we had 3 or 4 different. That year, we had 4 variants.
I bought 3 that day.
Yeah.
So I already drank 1. So I guess you're saying we need to drink these.
You should probably drink those.
So Dave, we'll have to get together with another campfire pit, and we'll be cracking some.
Probably drink those.
So
yeah, sounds good to me.
Speaking of drinking,
don't
we have another one here?
We have a couple sitting here. So what is going to be our 4th beer?
So this is basically what is now known as like our flagship beer. This is Homunculus. This is our double IPA. This is kind of what, when we did the first Anamorphous, Homunculus was not a thing when we first opened. When we first opened, we had, I want to say 6. No, we had all 24 beers on draft the day that we opened.
Wow. You did a lot of brewing to get open before you have all that on there.
2 months. We brewed for 2 months. We brewed stuff that we knew that was going to last longer in the beginning and then progressively worked our way in. But yeah, we could do 12 beers in 2 weeks. 2.5 weeks, depending on the beer style. We can, some of our stuff we turn around in 11 or 12 days. Some of it takes a little longer. Some of it, but this was actually Anamorphous number 2. This was the second variant of Anamorphous, which that's like our rotating IPA series. It's always different every single time. We like the second version so much that we decided to make it into a flagship beer. And now this is next to First Right, probably our best seller and what people know us for the most.
Homunculus.
Yes.
So cheers to Homunculus. See, now I'm going to be able to come into the brewery and I'm going to be able to pronounce it properly.
Yeah.
Instead of the bartender looking at me like, no, it's pronounced this way.
Yeah.
Now that has a little bit more hops I'm getting out of that than the Simulacrum.
Yeah, this is all Mosaic and Citra.
Yes, I'm getting a little bit more of that dank out of it. And it's good. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Just not one of my favorite IPAs.
Just on IPA drinkers.
I'm just not a huge IPA guy.
Well, I should have brought like 5 of them just to piss you off.
I tell you what, I like I said, my palate has changed. I will go, I'll come home one night and I'll be like, I don't want anything heavy. I'm not looking for that tart sour.
Yeah.
And if I don't have like a lighter Pilsner or something or a Kolsch,
we should have.
I'll go to an IPA, man.
Yeah, we should have opened that porter that I brought. That was one of the third band collaborations we did with Public Disco Porch and York River Keepers, and it was just it was 6% porter, 6% American style porter. Which turned out really, really good.
Well, we appreciate we didn't open it because now we can enjoy it.
Drink it.
So,
go ahead.
I
was just going to say one of the things that I differ from Brett is whenever I come home, I don't say to the wife, "Honey, do you know where I hid that IPA in the back of the refrigerator?" I just think that I have.
It's funny. My wife, it's like she was asking me. She's like, do you have to have a beer every night? I'm like, no.
Do I want to?
Yes. It's not a problem, honey. I'm not an alcoholic. But my gut is telling me otherwise. That it's, when you're starting to button up.
It's like that South Park episode. I'm not an alcoholic. It's a flight and it's classy.
Yeah. Where was I at? I think I ordered. I went to visit Tim and Rod at Back Porch when I took my wife up to Carlisle. And I think I had 3 flights so I could try everything they had on their tap. And besides what I had to finish that night up at Hook and Flask and what I had before I got to Tim and Rod's, I went back to the hotel. I was like, holy fuck, I'm messed up, man. This is good, though. This is a good beer. 1 would be enough. Now, to me, this is a 5-ounce pour. This is enough.
That's all you need.
Yeah. It's not. It is. You could definitely get that dankness out of that Mosaic and the Citra, and it's very good. So you're calling this like a hazy, or would this kind of?
We don't do any non-hazy IPAs anymore.
Okay,
if we do, it's very rare.
All right, I was gonna say, is it like towards a West Coast style because that's
no. This is your classic. If you still want to use the terminology New England, this is your classic.
East Coast, New England,
East Coast, hazy IPA. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's good though. It's not bad. Oh, I had to finish that one. It was pretty good. So you got some other personal interests besides being at the river. You say you have a boat down there?
I do.
Do you have a camper?
I do not.
You don't. You want to make a deal?
My wife would not be too happy with that deal.
So do you have a cabin down there?
No.
Okay.
I live really close to there. It's.
So you got any other personal interests besides brewing and your daughter?
I saw kayaking on your.
Yeah, wife and I go kayaking, quite a bit during the summertime. I used to play a lot of golf. I don't play golf anymore. It seems a lot of the things I used to really like to do ever since I opened the brewery, I don't do anymore.
It's harder when you get older.
It's yeah.
I think you'll get to a spot where you'll be able to get back into some of your personal enjoyments.
Yeah.
And that's the goal of every entrepreneur, to get to that spot.
Entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Wow.
I thought it was,
I don't know. I was thinking maybe I should look that one up.
You surprised I pulled that out of my ass?
Yeah.
But every family that's starting off with a young kid, your lives change because now it revolves around the child.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, you'll get to that point that you'll be able to enjoy some of your personal stuff that you used to do.
Yeah.
I used to do this. I used to do that.
Yeah.
But you'll get back into it.
I used to be into cars. I don't have a fun car anymore.
Oh,
I haven't had a fun car in years.
What's your daughter's name? You didn't. I don't.
Ellie.
Ellie
Ray.
Okay. Yeah. Because I kept thinking, and I says, I don't think he told us what her name was.
No.
And she's 6 months old.
Correct. 6 months old.
Yeah, you got it. Will go quick. It will go quick.
So everybody says
it does.
Yeah.
It does. Dude, I'm looking. I'm in my mid 50s. I'm like, holy shit, where did that time go?
Mm-hmm.
My body, my mind says, no, you're still 21. And then next thing I do, I'm out drinking. No, you're not 21 anymore. No.
I'm 38 and I know exactly what you mean.
Well, you're looking at grandchildren, so.
Yeah, I am. So are you.
I know that. I just know
you almost have well, you're not there. They're not old enough to have great grandchildren yet.
No, not yet.
I had to get an old joke in.
Don't push it.
I had to get an old joke in. Any sports that you follow?
Not anymore. I used to follow golf quite a bit. Don't really watch sports. Not a
huge sports guy.
I played baseball for 12 years. Don't watch a single bit of baseball.
Oh, I love baseball. Yeah. I could sit here and talk baseball, and these guys could talk football with you. But
see, I can watch. If something's on, I'll watch it. I know the rules and mechanics of all of the sports.
Well, rules have changed in baseball, man.
Yeah,
they have changed. So.
Yeah. But I couldn't tell you any person's name on any team or anything like that. I don't follow it that well anymore.
Yeah, you got too much else going on. It's more important. So, Jared, I'm glad we had got to have you in here. We've had a complete pleasure getting to sit here and talk to you a little bit and get to know you a little bit more about Jared and Collusion.
Yeah,
and I've had a great time. Do you have anything you want to add?
No, this was pretty fun.
I'm glad.
Got any festivals or anything that you're involved with up there?
Not at Collusion anymore. The big one was the Fang Around event that we did 2 weeks ago. We're pouring down at the Haze It Forward event down at Imprint in 2 weeks. That's 2 Saturdays from now. We'll be down there. I'm trying to throw together some lager festival here this summer.
Oh, okay.
I don't know exactly who or how or when we're going to do that, but I'd still like to get something involved with that. I'd talked to John Stemler, used to be at Free Will, talked to him about that and, getting him involved with that. And, maybe a couple other people want to be involved in, some lager beach fest kind of deal. We'll see, but something's in the works.
Well, that's cool. Downtown York, and we've mentioned this when we had Jason and Mick on from Gift Tours and Carmen Pintano with Buy Local. Mm-hmm. it's a happening place.
Yeah.
It's a place you want to go visit. You know, Glennon mentioned it. He's trying to make it a destination, and I think New York's getting there. It's a destination place.
There's a lot of stuff going on.
There's a lot of stuff in downtown New York now. I grew up here. I mean, I've been born and raised in Dover, so I know what New York was. I know what it in the middle of the 80s. I knew what it was, and I know what it was in the 90s. It's in a good spot.
Yeah.
It's in a really good spot, and it's good to have places like you and all the other local businesses that are moving into that area to build it back up, to make it a visitable place. So,
yeah,
kudos to what you've had going on. Both your locations, your future endeavors. Best of luck with the daughter and your family.
Yeah.
Any talk about another child?
No,
one and done.
We are one and done.
Did you want a couple? I have a couple of.
I'm more than okay with my one.
Okay.
I can't definitively say that we're one and done. I mean, as of this point, the answer is yes, but who knows what the future holds?
Yeah, the plans can change. Yeah. You know,
but I mean, this one's pretty perfect. We've got no problems. Like, I don't want to jinx it and have like a really shitty kid.
The second one's always the hellion,
right?
Man.
That's why I'm cool with one.
Dave, any last comments here?
No, it was good. I enjoyed this talking with you.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of excited to go up there to visit, to check the place out. You know, after everything you told me about it. You know, so
it's a fun place.
It is a fun place.
Good food, good beers.
Place. Dave doesn't get to go out with us a lot when we do go visit some of the venues.
Well, we're only 14 minutes away. So.
Yep.
I usually go out after my bedtime.
Well, yeah, I understand that. I was going to say it's rolling up on mine pretty quick.
Well, Jared, tell us once again where they can find Collusion Tap Works.
So we are downtown York, 105 South Howard Street. We are also in Lidditz at 5 Juniper Lane. 24 draft lines, food, beer, parking, whole deal, downtown York, 16 draft lines, 3 stories, food, music venue, whole deal up in Lidditz. You can find us currently at probably your local beer distributor. I don't know how much longer that's going to last, but the majority of the big ones here in Central PA have them. So
that's cool. So make sure you check out Jared and Collusion. Yeah. Make sure you check us out, Central PA Pour, all your social media platforms, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you got a comment and we want to email us, give us an email at centralpaport@gmail.com. Make sure you check out Ben. He does Wednesday night lives, even though I think he's been kind of busy off and on with baseball because he's coaching baseball. Wednesday nights at between 8 and 9 p.m. that he's doing the live stuff. We're looking to expand into some more content, so look for some more future content from the Central PA Pour. But we have one more beer here, and this is one of Jared's favorites from his little rant a little bit ago. So we got a lot of adjuncts in this one, right? Yeah, this is a King Cuddly blue cherry cheesecake. So this isn't the soft and cuddly. This is the king. No, this is the over the top obnoxious kind of, Which while we're recording this, they just did the coronation of the king in England. Yes, if anybody gives two shits about it, I saw with his sausage fingers and his shitty ass beer pour.
Wow, don't hold anything back here. Just let us know how you really feel.
I really, my wife's she loves watching the royal family. How dare you pour a pint like that? I didn't watch it. I don't give two shits about the royal family. We're in America. I don't think anybody in England anymore gives two shits about the royal family. I don't either. But this is the King Cuddly. Correct. Blueberry cheesecake, right? The soft and cuddlies were, that actually came from the Fuzzy Scrumpet picture. My dad had mentioned, it needs to be a little more soft and cuddly because it was so violent looking. And he said, well, fuck it. We're just going to name a beer soft and cuddly and make it with like fruit and lactose. And that's where that name came from. So then it was like, all right, that was like lightly fruited sours. Let's make a ridiculous, obnoxious, version of the soft and cuddly. And Ben, our last brewer was like, let's do a King Cuddly. We'll change the artwork. We'll put, the same cat. We'll put him on a fucking throne and throw a big shadow behind him and
go over the top with it. So this is like our heavily fruited cheesecake, blueberry, cherry, graham cracker, lactose. Yeah, whole jam. literal jam in a glass.
So it's like granola.
Oh my! So we like some of these sours that because it's weird. It's different how some of them you get all the flavors at different levels.
I do like this beer a lot. I mean, I know I went off on that rant. I do like these sours. Mm-hmm. I just like them in extreme moderation.
5 ounce pours.
5 ounce pours.
5 ounce pours.
So if you're out there, whatever you have in your glass, let's raise one with Jarrett and Collusion Tap Works and the CPP, and let's all be bonded by beer. Cheers.
Cheers.